We have Deepti Karan with us on the set now to take a look at the papers today. Hi, Deepti.
Hi, Jeannie.
Let's start with reaction from the South Korean press to the assassination of the half-brother of the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un.
That's right. Kim Jong-Nam was poisoned to death in Malaysia, and South Korean spy agencies believe that North Korea were behind the assassination. And this is really a sentiment, Jeannie, that we're seeing in the South Korean press. Let's start with conservative paper, the Korea Times. Kim Jong-un shows ruthless brutality, talking about the North Korean leader. It says on its front page, the paper says he's behind the attack. Now, according to some analysts cited by this paper, Kim Jong-nam was actually seen as a threat to the North Korean leader. He was viewed as critical, even a dissident of the regime. And apparently getting rid of him was a, quote, long-term standing order for the North Korean leader.
Now, some other papers are focusing on speculation about how this murder will strain North Korea's relation with China.
That's right. Well, let's start with the Hangul, which is a left-leaning publication in South Korea that says in its editorial that this murder will inevitably cause harm to China-North Korea relations. China was in fact grooming Kim Jong-nam in case there would be a sudden power change in North Korea. So he was being groomed, the half-brother, and his family were being protected by Chinese authorities. They were living in Macau, which is a special administered territory of China. For the Korea Times, it's clear that the murky details around what exactly happened to this man has revealed just how fragile North Korea's power structure is. Power that converges on one person. That man is Kim Jong-un, the North Korean leader, who constantly feels insecure. And the paper says we need to exploit this if we have any chance of peace in the country.
All right, Deepti, another big story covered by the papers today concerned Donald Trump's statements that he could be backing away for the first time in over 20 years in U.S. policy from a two-state solution in Israel. Tell us about that.
Well, let's look at the front pages first. The Jerusalem Post quotes Trump, who said, "I'd like you to hold back on settlements." He said this to Netanyahu, noting the paper also notes a clear change in tone and substance from Trump's visit compared to Barack Obama's visit when he first became president. For Trump, the two-state solution is no longer the only solution. That's what L'Orient Le Jour, the Lebanese paper, says on its front page. While the paper Israel Hayom, which tends to be pro-Netanyahu, takes a different stance on its front page. The paper reminds its readers that Trump never said that a two-state solution is off the table. And they quote him saying, "One state or two-state solution, which one do you want?"
What other reaction has there been from the international press to that meeting?
Well, let's look at the New York Times, which called Trump's comments nonsensical and dangerous. They added, I quote, "There's less reason than ever to believe he can succeed where so many presidents have failed." Haaretz, the Israeli paper, tends to be critical of Netanyahu, says the meeting really just shows how Netanyahu preferred to, quote, shamelessly lick Trump's boots. The paper says Netanyahu's high with Trump portends an inevitable fall, one that will come the day that Netanyahu dares to disagree with Trump. And it's that relationship, that sort of intrinsic relationship, is sent up in this cartoon from Al-Quds, where you see Donald Trump affectionately cradling Netanyahu in his arms. And finally, Al-Rai, which is a Jordanian paper, notes that Trump said in the past colony building hampers the peace process. This is in direct contradiction to his comments yesterday, showing for the paper that the U.S. is losing credibility.
Also losing credibility, German paper Bild, the tabloid, was forced to make a retraction after publishing a fake story about mass rapes in Frankfurt.
Well, Bild published a report earlier this month alleging that a restaurant owner and his staff witnessed a, quote, mass rape by a mob of drunken foreigners on New Year's Eve this year. But now police reports could not confirm any of those allegations, Jeannie. The paper has said Entschuldigung, but it's done little to ease criticism that the tabloid frequently stokes anti-immigrant sentiment through its reporting. And it is once again highlighting the impact of how dangerous fake news is and how it can be informing and inflaming social opinion. The two so-called witnesses are facing investigation.
And finally, one company in the financial beating heart of London, the city is making drastic changes to boozy lunches.
No more drinking on the job, at least during the day, Jeannie. Insurance company Lloyd's of London has imposed a 9 to 5 ban on daytime drinking, and workers could be sacked if they do have an afternoon tipple. It was widely tolerated, employees say, as long as the work was being done, but that's about to change now. It's well known that business deals were made over lunch and a glass of wine, but it looks like they'll have to stick to water now. In any case, the Evening Standard has been publishing accounts from workers who've been posting online their outlandish day drinking activities. Just to give you an example, one man says a former colleague would come into work at 9 a.m., hit the bar at 10 a.m., he'd stay there until 3 p.m., come into the office, pound out a multi-million-dollar deal, and then take the train home that evening.
All right, Deepti Laurent, thank you so much for that. A look at the papers today. Thanks to you for watching. For a closer look at the press review, you can always check out our website. That address, france24.com.